Good evening, friends. It's good to see you all as we come to our second week of this Flow series entitled Be the Church, Opening Hearts and Hands. We are grateful to have heard last week from COPE, a wonderful agency here in Springfield, and tonight and over the next couple of weeks, we will hear from additional agencies and ministries that work to provide for our brothers and sisters, for folks in our community who might need a little bit of assistance in various capacities. And in learning about these ministries, we will also learn about ways that we can join our efforts to their efforts and be supportive of these ministries that we are so very grateful for. Tonight, we will be hearing about Laundry Love, and our presenter for the evening is Joyce Munda, so we will hear from her in just a moment. But before I call Joyce forward, I would just like to remind you that we have a snack table to the direct back. Any contributions that you offer for snacks this evening will go into our children's ministry. There's also a small basket on the table that's just by the door if you would like to make a contribution to Laundry Love. So you can make a contribution to children's ministry through availing yourself to some snacks this evening, or again, contributions to Laundry Love at the basket by the door. Next Wednesday evening, we will hear from My Father's House, and then we will conclude this series by hearing from a representative from Open Door Pregnancy Center. But without further ado, I will invite Joyce to come and share about Laundry Love. So let's give her a hand as she comes.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Lovely introduction. The reason I'm here today is for Laundry Love. I've been a volunteer for a few years, and that is very much thanks to Naomi Wilkins, one of your own. She was volunteering at Laundry Love, and she said, "Why don't you come do this?" And I said, "Sure." And we showed up together, and she said, "Who doesn't mind doing the money?" And I said, "Well, I grew up in a hotel. We did money in the cash register all the time." So she said, "Okay, you can be the money person," and I've been the money person ever since. So Walt and I have established a relationship because he brings me money and then I put it in machines. I give it back to him if there's any left. So, but anyway, so today I'm talking about Laundry Love, and Laundry Love's, first, you could go to the first slide. Laundry Love started in 2003, way out in California. In Ventura, California, one of the Episcopal pastors or congressional members met a homeless person on the street. And they were talking, you know, you got to commune, you got to get to know people, and that's what they were doing. And the gentleman said that clean clothes made all the difference in the world, because if he had clean clothes, then people treated him like a human being. If he didn't have clean clothes, he was not treated that way. And that struck a chord with this Episcopalian, and they decided that they would like to do something locally to help people who didn't have an opportunity to have clean clothes. And so they started what was called now Laundry Love. And clean clothes made a big difference. The Episcopal congregation started with a very local, little nonprofit thing that they were doing for the good of the community, and it has turned into a nationwide project, and we are part of that project. Next slide. Sorry, I can't see very well. In 2007, I think it says up there? No, January of 2020. These are some U.S. statistics. Since 2003, when they started, you can see that in January of 2020, they said that Laundry Love groups all over had done 2 million loads of laundry. They had served 1.2 million people by 2020, and that over 320 active locations were doing Laundry Love good works. And I thought those were pretty good statistics. Pam Stewart shared those with me. She did a little research for this, and she's...
And that is the latest statistics that they have added up. I know this is 2025, but they had only gone through 2020, so
Yeah.
a little later that will be updated.
Yeah. Yeah, every month we try to turn in numbers, but when you have that many millions of people trying to be served, it takes a while to get through statistics. So this slide talks about Robertson County. One of your own, Martha Nelson, had the great idea that this laundry love sounded like a good thing. And she said, I think that we should do this. And so she went to First Methodist Church right here, and she decided that clean clothes and fellowship were what this was going to be all about. And she started it mostly with people from this church. She reached out to people like Pam and Naomi and other ones, that just regular people, and said, we want to do this to help people in our community. And one of the things that I thought was really nice about the program when I first got interested in it was that you don't have to come in and fill out a bunch of forms that proves that you have a really low income or that you are just plain poor and homeless. Because everybody has a month in their life when their plumbing leaks or their washer breaks or their dryer breaks, and you're between paychecks, and you got to feed the kids, and you got to buy the other things and pay the light bill, and you just don't have enough to do everything that you'd like to do, and you maybe don't get to wash clothes like you would like to. And I thought it was great that this program, you don't have to prove anything to anybody when you come to the door. You just have to say, can I get some help with my laundry? And we do it. And I think that's a great way to run a program. What she did was she reached out to Sisters Laundry, and Patrick Stemper was the gentleman that owns that. And he said, yeah, I'd love to partner with you for this. I think it's a great idea. Charlene Sullivan reached out to him and said, we have our Father's house, and we have a kind of a need for laundry stuff here too. And he says, bring them down. Bring them down. I can definitely help with that as well. So he was a great partner and a great volunteer. And in 2025, we awarded him a little certificate that said, volunteer, extraordinaire, and gave that to him for his service because he had volunteered every single time we met. And we meet the third Friday of every month, and we've been doing it for a long time, and he's a really great volunteer. But let's see what else it says up there. Yeah. In the beginning, the main push was to provide clean clothes. Like I said, you didn't have to prove you were poor. You just have to say, I need some help this month. And that Miss Martha said that the whole idea of fellowship was big with her. She said, we want the volunteers to sit down at the table with the people, and we want to talk to them. We want to share the love of Christ with them. We want to help them out, to listen to them, treat them like real people, because that's what the whole premise was, that you were treated like a human being if you had clean clothes. And so there was a lot of fellowship going on. And Patrick told me that there were times that there'd be 15 to 20 volunteers there because they were folding all the laundry nice and putting them in bags and this and that and fellowshipping with everybody. And it was run a little differently than it is today. But COVID-19 kind of changed that. You can go to that next slide. COVID-19 happened, we said we can't really do the fellowship thing so much anymore. People are sitting here with masks, and they don't want to hang around, and they don't want to stay while we're doing their laundry, and the volunteers don't want to get too close either, So it kind of changed how we did business. But Miss Nelson moved away, and she reached out to Ace Timmermeyer, and Ace was working for United Way at the time. And Grace was a really good person to take over because with her work with United Way, she had a lot of contacts in the community. She said, I could reach out to people and we could get together and we could do fundraising events, and I can reach out to people and key in for some more volunteers when we need them. And we really started getting a bigger community involvement at that time. And then Ace moved on, wasn't at United Way anymore, but Tiffany Thompson came, and she says, yeah, I'll help with that. And she kind of took the reins for a year. And in 2025, which is the most recent year that we have, last year, the statistics show us that $14,500 was spent on giving people clean laundry. And we do that once a month on the third Friday of every month. And in doing so, the volunteers wash and dried more than 7,000 home-sized loads of laundry. Now, I say 7,000 home-sized load because there are some giant machines in that laundromat. And those giant machines can hold several loads of laundry in them, and sometimes they hold a quilt or a blanket or two to help people to be warm, and some clothes besides. So there's all sizes of different loads there, and the people are funded, that's the word I was looking for. People are funded in a variety of ways. Well, you'll see that individuals will sometimes give money. In fact, there have been an odd Friday when we run out of money while we're there, and people that are volunteering their time will say, well, I got a $20 bill in my purse, let me get it out and donate it. And we write down that we had an individual donate $20 in order for us to keep going. So sometimes the money comes from individuals, sometimes the money comes from nonprofits, other ones that believe in us and think that it's a good thing to be doing for the community. And then there are also, in the past 4 years, 15 churches have also donated. And one of those churches is your church. You have not only members that volunteer, like Pam and Naomi and other ones that come quite often, you also have donations from those individuals, donations from Sunday school classes, donations from the United Women of Faith, which I think is your women's group here at this church. There's all kinds of money streams that have had to come into us to keep us going, but we're still going strong. Some of you may remember that in December there was a bit of a TV article on us that Channel 5 News had us on Facebook and on streamed us and had us on the news and whatever, and said that this good work here, this Laundry Love program, is running out of money and they really need some help. And all of a sudden, people came out of the woodwork, and we have enough money to go for months and several months. We said, oh, we're going to be okay in January and February and March, and we're in good shape. We really appreciated that program when they did that, because not only do we have the individuals who give, but also those groups and nonprofits that have also taken us on. So.
Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, then we have enough for the next 2 months. It's
Mm-hmm.
just unreal, because we're all kind of worried about what to do, because we get so low, and then all of a sudden, here we have money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. If you just trust and you believe, something opens, and we have some more money. I know Walt worries about that sometimes, that we're not going to have enough. And he'll say, Joyce, we're not going to have enough money to go more than one more month. And I say, okay, we'll try to do something about that besides pray. But the prayers, I think, do just as much good as some of the other things. So, all right, this is a picture of some of our volunteer work here. You'll notice that there's some giant-sized washing machines there. Those are the kind that, cost quite a bit to run them, but they're nice big laundry washers. And
8 loads, those big ones right there will hold 8 loads. They're $11.50 to run.
Yeah, they're the bottom one there with, I think that's Pam Stewart standing there talking to somebody. Those are in front of the dryers. And, you know, it's hard for me to write down how much it costs for a dryer because every load is different. You know, some of them are fuller than others, and some of them have things that are more dense, and it takes longer to dry them and whatever. But I will tell you right now that the days of the quarter machines is pretty much over because they won't even start with a quarter in them. They have to have several quarters in them before they even turn on. So those days are gone. But you'll see the first picture there is a car driving by, a bunch of laundry on the street. And that is actually how we organize the laundry. We don't even know the names of a lot of the people that bring us laundry because we're not making them fill out forms. We're not having them answer questions. We're saying, you want these clothes done? Okay, here's your number. You have number 6. I'm going to put number 6 on this bag of clothes and number 6 on this bag of clothes and number 6 on this bag of clothes. When you come back, you give us back the 6 and we'll give you all the bags of clean clothes that have 6 on them. And that's how we organize ourselves. And it works pretty well as long as the volunteers can keep it straight that they don't forget to move a number when they move it from the washer to the dryer.
Yeah, we take that number, stick it on the front of the washing machine, number 6. After they wash, it goes into a basket. We put number 6 on that basket. Then that basket is rolled up to a dryer. And we have some people that do washers, some that do dryers, or just wherever anybody's needed. Then we take that number 6 and put it on the front of the dryer. And so we know that's number 6 clothes. Then when we take them out and bag them, we put that number 6 on the bag. And that's how it goes through the cycle that we keep up with them.
The only thing that's bad is some of those great big washers, they take 3 dryers. So you got to keep remembering to make some more 6s and put them on those other dryers. But usually it works pretty well. Once in a while, we'll have somebody either pick up a bag that has a number that's not their number, or somebody will have forgotten to put a number on a dryer, and so we've got a question mark, and we've got one bag that we're asking the people around those numbers and asking if they're missing any laundry. Can you look in here? Is this your stuff? So every once in a while there's a little accident, but you know, they all go with the flow, and usually they come back for their laundry or with their laundry if they took somebody else's, and then we can give it back to them. So it's a pretty good system, but all of those bags will have numbers on them, not names, and we keep track of them. So. All right, so here she was starting to say that about our funding. Every time that we get together, we have $1,300 that I turn into quarters and we feed into machines. Now, sometimes we don't use it all, and sometimes we run out and people start looking for those 20s in their pockets, or we call Walt and say, can you bring us $300 more? We're really busy today. So. But $1,300 is what we start each laundry day with. The 80-pound washer is $11.50, and we do blankets and comforters. You know, sometimes that's what has to be washed, you know. We also, many loads of clothes can go into one of those big ones for that price. A 60-pound washer is $9.50, a 40-pound washer is $7.50, and a 30-pound washer is $6. And those are the sizes of the washers, that how many pounds of laundry they actually can take. It does say a small blessing is that detergent, we used to have to put that on our begging list and say, if you would like to donate, you can donate some detergent or some dryer sheets. Well, we still want your dryer sheets, but detergent now, there is an organization called Earth Breeze, and what they did was they made washing powder that wasn't liquid and it wasn't a powder, it was a sheet of paper about like this. And that sheet of paper would go into the washer and it would dissolve as the water hits it, and it would turn into suds. And that company called Earth Breeze does sell their laundry detergent, both on the internet and I think at Walmart and Target and a few other stores now. But they said for every one that they would sell on the internet or in the store, they would donate one. So they'd had a pack with sheets in it, and every time I bought laundry detergent for my house, they would donate one to Laundry Love. And it's not just the organized Laundry Love that they donate to. They also will donate to the traveling laundry services that go to places where they've had tornadoes or hurricanes or natural disasters of some kind, and they have people who have been displaced, or their homes don't have any power, or their homes don't have any floors anymore. They're covered in mud or whatever, and they need clean clothes. So they'll bring their clothes to the mobile laundry service, and Earth Breeze detergent goes in and everybody's gets washed. So every time you buy some, they all say donate it, and we can get free detergent from Earth Breeze through the Laundry Love program, and that's how we wash the clothes. But the other thing is that the dryer, I already mentioned that it's hard to figure out the price of a dryer because everything dries differently. If you've got a heavy blanket and some, a lot of wool socks or something, it's not going to be the same as if you've got on shorts and a t-shirt. So, all right, the next one there. We do have some needs. I said you don't have to give us detergent anymore, but we still do use dryer sheets. So if anybody wants to make a product donation, we take dryer sheets. Also, we use kind of plastic gloves that, I hate to say it, but some of the laundry we get may have sat in a shed outside that's kind of dirty and kind of buggy and kind of yucky, and maybe it got rained on once or twice, and then they bring it to us. And so people want to wear gloves while they're taking that laundry out and putting it in the washers. So we do have a need for gloves. The other thing is plastic bags. You notice that the laundry that was sitting on the curb, it was great big plastic bags. Well, that was clean laundry, actually, not just laundry that we were getting from somebody, because they'll often bring it in their basket or their plastic hamper or whatever. And when we get it done, we don't fold the laundry anymore. We just make sure it's good and dry. We put it in a bag. We put the number on the bag, and we put it out on the curb, and they come get it. So we use these bags to put the clean laundry in. We also have a need for bottled water. Our volunteers get thirsty, and it's a good way to do it. But we also share the water with anybody who's sitting there waiting for their laundry to get done. We still do the fellowship thing. Some people do stay, and they'll sit and talk and, participate. Some people want to wash and dry their own laundry. They just can't afford to, and so they'll do the labor. And so they just step right up and work with us, and that's very nice. We've made a lot of friends that way. And the last, but certainly not least, is we need volunteers. There are some times when I get there at 7 in the morning and the room is full and every washer is already working because the people that brought their laundry said, I'll wash it myself. I just want to get it started. And Patrick puts the money in and they wash it themselves. And those people, many of them will stay and volunteer. And when the 8 o'clock crew comes, I might have 2 people, but I've still got 6 people that were washing their own that are still there, and they just start washing everybody else's. So volunteers are really how we work, and it is completely what we do. That first picture there with a big group shows that we have men volunteers, we have women volunteers, we have Spanish-speaking volunteers, we have black volunteers, we have white volunteers. Well, I mean, we have about every kind you can imagine, and we even have kids. Now, some people will say, how do kids volunteer? Well, we have homeschoolers, and some of those homeschoolers want to do some community hours, and so they'll show up. And sometimes we get a whole family. One Friday, we got a policeman, his wife, their little boy, and their tiny little girl. And she was hefting those big bags up over her shoulder and carrying them outside. I'll tell you, she was stronger than I was, I think. But you'll see that we have all kinds of people who volunteer, and that's just one of our pictures. And Patrick there with the yellow, we had given him that super volunteer award that Friday when we were there, and he was tickled because we gave him a cupcake too. He's kind of like so sweet, so I don't know about him. But we've also got another volunteer there. There's some clean laundry waiting to go outside. Sometimes it's raining outside, so we'll leave it inside for a while and not put it out. But the other one says we also do birthdays. Pam sent me that one. She said, I think many of you will recognize Miss Mary. I think she goes to church here. She gets her laundry done every month, and one month it was November, and she had a birthday. So everybody said, hey, it's Mary's birthday. We need to do a cupcake or a cake or something. So one of the volunteers picked up a cake, and some of them picked up a card, and we all signed the card, and Miss Mary was tickled that we remembered her birthday. So we even do birthdays as we're doing it, so. All right, next one. This is how our Friday morning ends. When the volunteers were all done with washing and drying, not everybody has come back to pick it up yet, and so we've got some numbers that haven't been refiled, and we've got some stuff still out on the curb with numbers on it, and the volunteers can all go home. Walt comes and gets what's left of the money, and we leave the laundry on the street, and poor Patrick has to deal with the people that come back with that number. But that's how we end each of our Fridays. I think there's one more. I want to thank you for inviting me, and I was wondering if anybody had any questions. Sisters Laundry is between Cato's and the shoe store. The strip park that starts with the Salvation Army and goes to, Goodwill. Starts with Goodwill and ends with Belk's. It's in that strip, but we're right next to Cato's and the shoe store. We're right in the middle.
Almost smack in the middle, isn't it?
It's pretty close to the middle.
Belts on one side, and is Goodwill, or is that
Goodwill.
There's a couple of doors to the right of each other.
Yes. Yeah, it's about 4 doors from it, toward Ollie's, because Cato's and Ollie's are next to each other.
basically the hours are 8 till 11?
8 to 10:30 is all that we will take laundry.
10:30 last load in.
Mm-hmm.
But like Joyce just told y'all, it's supposed to start at 8, but Patrick would get there and Joyce to open at 7:30, and there would already be someone waiting.
No.
So now they
6.
go at 7, and there's already people waiting.
Yeah.
And
He usually gets there between 6 and 6:30, and he goes and puts money in every single machine in his place. And then he unlocks the door, and he gives that first one through the door the number 1, the next one the number 2, the next one the number 3, because he will have people sitting in his parking lot waiting for him to open the doors because they want to wash their own laundry and be done and out of there. So, yes.
So okay, a few hours on Friday, right? On average, how many individuals do you see?
We do family numbers, like I said. I will take a number from you, but you may have a family of 6 people.
Sure.
Okay, so when you say how many individuals do I do, usually we don't get past number 40. But we have occasionally gotten to number 40 and then gone back to number 1 and done number 1, 2, 3 again. But we have numbers from 1 through 40 that we have available each Friday for us to do laundry loads.
So
And
40-ish or so
families.
families are.
And we average around about $1,300 a month in terms of what we spend this.
and sometimes we go over.
Right.
Like this last month.
Yeah. In December, we were over. A lot of people had quilts, blankets, clothes, sweaters. They fill a laundry machine faster when they're large, bulky items. And so we probably washed more loads that Friday than we do some Fridays.
Number 6 may have 10 bags.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because there are people that it's one man coming on his way to work. He drops off the clothes, and he has 5 children in his house. And, we haven't seen him in a month, but maybe he's had a way to wash clothes between there at least once, but sometimes not. So you may have a month's worth of 5 different kids plus a man and a woman, or a man by himself, whatever, and we're doing their laundry. So, yes.
So it seems like there's no shortage of awareness in the community on the part of people who need laundry love, that laundry love exists. But other than random TV spots, how is the ministry promoted in terms of tonight. How is the ministry bringing people on board? Because it seems like there's an awful lot of need. And to hear that there are some Fridays that it runs out and people are searching for $20 bills. Like, how can we help to expand the awareness of, the opportunity to get on board with them?
Well, we do have a Facebook page, and several of our volunteers will take pictures while we're working, and just of the chaos or of the people or of the birthday parties or whatever, and we do put postings on it. There are posters around town in different places. The laundromat itself has posters, and then it has little mini ones in both Spanish and in English so that people will know that it's a service that we can offer to people once a month. And I do get invited to speak for COPE or Laundry Love or TN Kids Food Backpack Program or other things that I volunteer for, and that is a way to let people know. There are occasionally a different group completely separate from what I normally think about as somebody who would be promoting us, will have a fair, like an outdoor fall festival, and they'll have a table that is Laundry Love, and they're saying, you want to donate to Laundry Love or learn about Laundry Love, and they'll have posters as to when Laundry Love is, and they'll have a jug to put quarters in or whatever so that they can share the info. I know there was one at one of the churches up behind Wendy's, kind of up in that area, and this fall. And there's also a group that it's a children and family-oriented group that the Sheriff's Department supports. And they meet about once a month and talk about what's going on in the community and share information between nonprofit organizations so that they can do referrals. I know when I work at COPE, I will tell people about Laundry Love, because sometimes a family comes in and they're having a little trouble and they need some extra help, and I'll say, do you know about Laundry Love? You can go on the third Friday. And there are other nonprofits in town that share that information as well. If you call the United Way 411 number, they'll tell you that you can get your laundry done, or you can, do this at COPE, or you can do this at Open Door Pregnancy, or there's a lot of sharing that goes on between the nonprofit organizations in this area, and it's very nice. United Way is also a good clearinghouse for information as to what the community needs are and how or if they can be satisfied in some way. But I was thrilled to be invited to come speak tonight because this is one of the ways that I tell people about Laundry Love. And one of the things that I like about Laundry Love is the fact that you don't have to fill out a form and say, I'm truly needy, I'm really poor, I'm truly homeless, and you have to prove it to me before I'll wash your laundry. Because I really like the idea that, everybody has a month when their washer's dead and they don't have a way to fix it until the next paycheck. And so I really like that about the program. So.
Sometimes we have people in there interested in donating back in financially, and they think they need to get quarters. That's fine, but any denominations work. I mean, honestly, the way it works best is for 20. She kind of talks about $20. The reason she talks about $20 is because that's what the machine pays. So what I do every month, I go and I get money and take it in 20s, because 20s are a lot lighter to carry than $1,000 worth of quarters.
Yeah, I've gotten the big jugs where I have to count out the quarters to see how much money we have in the big jug. When I think when Ace Timmermeyer was doing it, there was a softball tournament. And they said at the concession stand at the softball tournament, they said, drop in your change for Laundry Love. And they filled like 5-gallon water bottles, like 7 of them or something like that. I mean, they weren't full, but they were full enough that they were very heavy. And she just toted them down and said, here you go, Joyce, count as you go. And I'd pull out the money and I'd count and I'd write it down. And so I'd know how much we used that time. So I like it a lot better when he brings me 20s.
And Joyce, this may be a good time for me to ask our preacher, because I was thinking about this a while back. Maybe if I could go around to the Sunday school classes and ask them just to put some kind of a little jar or bucket or some
I've been at this church for 3.5 years, and this is really my introduction to Laundry Love
Oh, goodness.
in 3.5 years. Obviously, I've heard of the ministry. I know that, like yourself, people like yourself are involved in it. But in terms of like what it is, how you do it, when you do it, what it takes to do it, this is the first I've heard, which makes me think that there are a lot of potential givers
Mm-hmm.
and contributors and participants in this community who would love to know about it.
Yeah.
But they just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like you asked, where is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's great. But I think there might be also some other ways that we.
Well, we love people with fundraising ideas. So, Jason, if you've got any ideas, you send them to me, and we'll start doing some more fundraising. But I've often.
And just to let people know
Mm-hmm.
that the service is there, and of course, you know, we used to have a newspaper, now we only have Smoky Barnes, well, the Connection, you know, I guess we could put, you know, a bug in their ear if they would, but just like Jason said, the awareness of it and where it is,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is the third Friday of every month, and
At Sisters Laundry. I mean, you drive down on Friday morning, you'll find us because there are bags sitting outside with numbers on them, rain or shine. What? No.
Do it twice a month instead of once.
Yeah, we've talked.
We have that volunteers and enough funds we can.
well, and that's, I mean, it's not a problem, it is a problem, but, well, was it
December.
December, it was Joyce and 2 volunteers. I had my granddaughter's, my
School.
kids were,
Mhm.
their Christmas, you know, programs and stuff. And so sometimes we have Joyce and 2 volunteers, and then sometimes we have 15 volunteers. And we never know who can and will show up. So, you know, I don't know if we did it twice a month, how many.
Volunteers we'd have, right? Yeah.
That is one thing, it's so hard, everybody's busy and it's really hard to get people to donate their time. It's kind of easy to drop a, you know, penny in a.
We like both, though. I mean, we couldn't function without both. We need financial donations, but we also need volunteers, and that's one of the biggies. Is that if you can give us some of your time, and you don't have to come at 7 in the morning and stay until noon. You know, we say we start at 8, and volunteers do start showing up at 8 usually. But there are some people who come later, and they just make sure they dry until all the clothes are dried. And the people that are washing, you know, they need to be there first because it takes a while to wash enough clothes before you ever have a dryer need, you know. So everybody doesn't have to be there at 7 or 8 in the morning.
Like you said, they keep coming earlier and earlier, and Patrick keeps opening a little earlier, and the more he does, he's gonna end up being at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Nah, I don't think he'll open before 6:30 because he gets pretty tired by noon.
I'm gonna guess the answer is no, but has there ever been a case where folk did not come back for their bag?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. There was a time when somebody left their clothes in the morning and they did not come back by the time he closed his store. You know, he's only open a certain time period. Sometimes they do, but I have donated bags of clean clothing to Cope because he'll hold them for a month. And if they don't ask that time, then he'll say, do you want them this month or should I hold them one more month? And that gives them a lot of weeks to come by and say, hey, I didn't pick up my clothes, you know. So I don't know why we sometimes get bags of clothes, but we sometimes do. But we've also had the other happen where somebody took somebody else's clothes by accident or a volunteer put the wrong number on the bag, and when they got it home, they went, oh, these aren't mine. They have a 5 on it, but it's not mine. I'm going to take it back to the laundromat. And so we call Patrick and say, there's a bag coming back. It's got a 5 on it. It wasn't theirs. and then somebody else will call me and say, my friend says that she's missing some of her laundry. And I said, good, because we have a bag that's at the laundromat that, somebody didn't pick up. So, and so they go, and lots of times it's theirs. But one time we did have a lady who said somebody took her clothes and she never, ever saw them again. And so she wanted us to buy her work clothes because she had to have clothes and didn't have any money to buy new clothes. And so,
That doesn't happen too often, but
no.
it does happen, because sometimes people will bring their friends or relatives clothes, so they don't exactly know what they're bringing for their friends and relatives, and if they may end up leaving and not realizing they were theirs.
Yeah.
But not too often.
Yeah, we
When it started and Martha started it, we had here Sunday school classes that volunteered
yes.
like December, and then maybe April, and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kind of involved in the very start, but what amazed me was from the first time it was done, how it doubled in size by the second time we had it, because those people network,
Yes.
and they say, you need to go get your clothes done here,
Mhm.
or they'll do them free.
Uh-huh.
So that part, the word got out real quick, and, like you say, you never had a shortage of clothes to wash.
That's true.
And that's why we don't fold now. There's just no time. There's no way. It is so, when you saw the bag of clothes, there's just no way we'd be there.
Hmm. We don't have enough volunteers to fold, because if you had 15 or 20 people volunteering, you might have enough time to fold. We do have sometimes a family that says, I'll fold my own. I'll dry and fold my own. And they'll stand there and they'll do it, and they'll put them all nicely back into their things, and they'll take them home with them. But most of them just either have someplace else to be, or they're needing the time to sit and veg or do some other errand while we're doing their clothes for them. Yeah, and some of them just go back to work, and then they come after work and pick up their things. So you've got all kinds of families that need help. And like I said, so we've had people that come and say, I just need you to dry my clothes. My washer works, but my dryer broke. So can you just put them in the dryer for me? And we feed the dryer, and we put them in, and then we give them back to them, kind of thing. So it's all, you don't have to prove anything to us. You just have a need, come and do it. Sometimes it's just the dog things that gets washed because there's no way to wash them at home, So, and then he rinses out and puts the next load in. So and we do have homeless people that will come that do that as well. But we don't count it. We don't record who is, who isn't, whatever. There's none of that going on. It's just we fellowship with them and try to make them feel comfortable and give them back clean clothes. That's what we're all about. Any other questions or comments that anybody would? If you can think of any good fundraising ideas, throw them my way. If you've got a grandchild that's going to have a softball tournament or soccer tournament or something, and you want some way to encourage community interaction, we'll figure out how to have laundry love and buckets of coins or something. So, all right. Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Joyce, for sharing. As I say, 3.5 years is an awful long time for such a great ministry to fly under the radar, but better late than never. And so glad that I had the opportunity to learn about Laundry Love this evening and the vital work that it's doing. And a phrase came to mind as you were sharing, Joyce, talking about how you don't ask for names, you don't ask for situations, you don't have any paperwork filled out, but it's compassion without criteria. And I think that is the gospel, the capital G gospel, actually being lived out. The hands and feet of Christ, right? Because as I read through the stories of Jesus, he never stopped and asked people, where they're from or whether they deserved it or whether they were of a certain economic place. He saw needs and he met them, right? And so it's wonderful work that y'all are doing. And folks in this church here are also helping to do. And so very much appreciative of Laundry Love. Let's be thinking together about how we can help to raise awareness and get more folks plugged in, because it sounds like there's a great need, especially for volunteers. I saw that in all caps. So let's see what we can do there in bright colors. Again, snacks at the back table go to children's ministry. Contributions at the basket near the door go to Laundry Love. So let's have a word of prayer as we depart this evening. God, we thank you for the ministry of Laundry Love. We thank you for all of the hands and feet who make the ministry possible. We thank you for their dedication, their faithfulness, for the hours contributed, for the dollars contributed. We thank you for the relationships formed through this ministry, for the means that this ministry has provided to help those who participate in it to get to know their neighbors. And we are grateful for the bonds that have been formed and the community that has been built. And Lord, we thank you for every opportunity that you gift to us to be the church, to be your hands and feet wherever we are and however we can. And we pray that you would strengthen our efforts and make good our efforts as we seek to shine your light in this community and beyond. So again, we thank you for this ministry, for helping us to learn about it, and may we be about the work of supporting and strengthening it so that it might continue to flourish and provide service to our sisters and brothers who are in need. Send us forth now with your blessing to love and to serve in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a good evening. We'll see y'all soon.